could talk about this. The control of the internet was lost. The decentralization of the internet didn't materialize. It's centralized now under Google and a couple other big players. The cryptocurrency, there's reasons to centralize it to prevent bad actors and money laundering, and it certainly seems like it's heading that way in the West. Do you have any comments you want to add, since you saw the first revolution and how that played out and how it's comparing and contrasting with what's happening for digital currencies?
Well, I look at it down to a packet of data. And so if you're moving data around, whether it's a currency, information, or whatever, how does that get centralized? And so, I'm participating in a thing called Handshake, which is a new DNS for instead of .coms, right? Because a lot of these are still going over URLs. And so that is trying to become a decentralized mechanism that we're supporting. It's going against a centralized figure like ICANN. So again, I look at it as just a packet delivery. If you can protect that packet and do P2P and secure it at the packets at the end, then again, they're not going to be able to stop it, right? So this is decentralization. Once it's out of the bag, you don't put it back. And so I think crypto is still trying to get out of that breaking point on a global basis. And then the centralized figures are trying to bring it back together before it gets out of the bag. Because we're at that inflection point to where it is trying to get out. And then once it's out, the centralized governments aren't going to put it back in. So we're at that critical junction these next 18 months, whatever you want to put it in, to really get that identity. So right now, I think the government's waking up with, like I said, with, what do you call it? What's the number 3? The bank. Anyways, he was talking to the government, like, you got to get out. The government's got to get out now. There's China, everybody else is going to get out. So for me, my opinion, again, is money is involved. The government wants their hand in the cookie jar. They're starting to realize we have to get in front of this. How are we going to do it? And it's going to go back into the onboarding, on-ramps, data packets. So now is the time to stay hidden. So what I'm looking for is mechanisms that create value without going into the centralized system. If you can keep it and create it outside of the centralized network, then they're not going to be able to touch it. And that's why people want old wallets that haven't been on the network or used, because those can stay anonymous right now. So that's just my intake.
Well, Chad, I appreciate your comments. Chad's an expert on internet architecture and, patriot and like a libertarian and maybe a genius all at the same time. But we appreciate having you bring clarity into how this centralization process may or may not go down. I know that you've seen
I've had centralized.com for a long time, right? So again, and I want to do what's right. But again, if the government has no accountability and what they spend our money on, and then everybody just passes the buck to somebody else, I just don't want to participate and add value into that ecosystem if it's not transparent, if it's, and I just feel like we're going to the opposite, where the government needs to embrace this stuff to get better. And so I don't think the government is moving fast enough and getting better using new technologies when you still have a shit line of DMV or whatever else. And so I want the government to eat this lunch to say, to get better, because we have to live in it. And so
the government's it's a non-competitive environment, and they try to make it fake competitive by having contracts for things. But all they're doing is just they make money off additional layers, right? So
that's just my thing is I want them to be more accountable and more transparent. And I think this technology can help them get there. And that's what my end goal is, to really implement it in through the government system, so it can kind of blossom.
As it should be, right? I talked about this in with my Silicon Valley folks a while ago, this concept of citizenship as a service, right? Transparent citizenship services. I, as a citizen of this republic, should be able to just transparently process the things that I paid for, right? And that you paid for. So I'm totally with you on this, Chad.